Welcome, high-value men. Let me take you back to a moment we've all experienced or dreaded. She's just walked away. You're sitting alone, staring at your phone, her words still echoing in your mind. The room feels colder, quieter. You think to yourself, if I could just say the right thing, maybe I could fix this. And then it happens. Your emotions take over. You type out a message. Maybe it's "I miss you" or "I'll change." You hit send, hoping for a miracle. But instead, you're met with silence. Or worse, a polite response deeper than rejection. At that moment, you realize, I just made things worse. Sound familiar? You're not alone. This is the trap most men fall into after a breakup. It's human nature. We crave connection, especially when it's been taken away. But here's the painful truth. The words you say in these moments of vulnerability can either pull her closer or push her further away. And unfortunately, most men end up doing the latter. Now let me share a story. A friend of mine, let's call him James, went through a breakup a few years ago. He was a successful, confident man, but when his girlfriend left, it shattered him. In a moment of weakness, he called her, begging for another chance. He poured his heart out, listing all the ways he would change, thinking it would win her back. Her response? Silence. And then, a week later, she posted a picture on social media with someone else. James was devastated, not just because he lost her, but because he felt he had destroyed any remaining respect she might have had for him. He told me later, that call wasn't for her. It was for me, and it showed her I wasn't the man she fell for anymore. James learned the hard way, but you don't have to. That's why we're here today, to break the cycle, to show you how to avoid the mistakes that scream desperation and instead reclaim your power. Let me ask you this. What if silence was your greatest weapon? What if, by saying nothing, you could make her miss you, think about you, and even question if leaving you was the right decision? High-value men understand this. They know that words can build bridges, but they can also burn them. Today, we'll uncover the 12 things you should never say to your ex if you want her back. These are the traps most men fall into, thinking they're doing the right thing, only to realize they've sabotaged themselves. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to avoid and how to position yourself as the man she regrets leaving. But first, let's address the psychology behind these mistakes. When you reach out with a message like, "I miss you" or "I've changed," what are you really doing? You're seeking validation. You're asking her to fix your pain. And while it's natural to feel that way, it's the last thing that will make her see you as the confident, high-value man she once admired. Here's the kicker. Every time you speak from a place of emotion, you're handing her control. You're telling her, "I need you to feel whole." And the truth? That's not attractive. Attraction is built on confidence, mystery, and strength, not on emotional dependency. So if you're ready to break free from these patterns and rebuild yourself as a man she can't stop thinking about, you're in the right place. Let's start with the first mistake, a mistake so common that most men don't even realize they're making it. Number 1, don't say "I've changed." It's a phrase that feels powerful in the moment, isn't it? You think that by saying "I've changed," you're proving your growth, showing her that you've become the person she wanted you to be. But let's face the truth. It's not convincing, it's desperate. And worse, it backfires almost every single time. Here's why. When you tell her you've changed, especially soon after the breakup, what are you really saying? You're admitting that you weren't enough before. You're validating all the reasons she left by essentially saying, "You were right to leave me. I wasn't good enough, but now I am." Do you think that makes her respect you, or does it make her pity you? The answer is painfully obvious. Let's go deeper. People don't change overnight. Real transformation takes time, effort, and consistency. So when you tell her you've changed just days or weeks after the breakup, she knows it's not genuine. In her mind, she's thinking, if he could have changed so quickly, why didn't he do it when we were together? And that's where the real damage happens. Instead of seeing you as someone who's grown, she sees you as someone who's trying to manipulate her emotions. And here's the brutal truth. Even if you have genuinely started to change, saying it out loud won't help. Why? Because words mean nothing without action. High-value men understand this. They know that transformation isn't something you announce, it's something you embody. If you've truly changed, it will show in how you live your life, not in what you tell her. Now let's flip the perspective. Imagine receiving a message like this from someone you broke up with. They say, "I've changed. I'm not the same person anymore." Do you feel intrigued? Or do you roll your eyes and think, "Sure, you have. That's exactly what someone desperate would say"? The reality is, those words carry no weight because they lack proof. And proof takes time that most men aren't willing to invest. So what's the alternative? Silence. Focus on actual growth. Take the energy you would have spent convincing her and pour it into becoming the best version of yourself. Let her hear about your transformation through mutual friends or see it through your actions, not your words. Because when she does, it's no longer about trying to win her back. It's about her realizing what she lost. Here's the bottom line. Telling her you've changed doesn't make her want you back. It makes her feel justified in leaving. So resist the urge to explain yourself. Instead, show her, without saying a word, that you've moved forward. That's the power of real transformation, and that's what high-value men understand. Number 2, don't say "I hate you." We've all been there. The anger, the frustration, the overwhelming sense of rejection. It's tempting to lash out and say something like, "I hate you." You think it might hurt her the way she's hurt you. You want her to feel your pain, to understand the depth of your emotions. But let's be honest, what does saying "I hate you" really achieve? Here's the harsh reality. It makes you look childish. Saying "I hate you" isn't a sign of strength or independence. It's a glaring red flag that you're not in control of your emotions. And here's the kicker. Women instinctively distrust men who can't control themselves. Why? Because emotional outbursts scream instability. And instability is the opposite of attraction. Now let's shift to her perspective. Imagine her hearing those words from you. Does she feel hurt? Maybe, but more likely she's thinking, "Wow, he's really immature. I made the right decision." Instead of making her second-guess the breakup, you're giving her more reasons to believe she was right to leave. And it doesn't stop there. Saying "I hate you" can create a rift that's almost impossible to repair. Even if you don't mean it, those words leave a lasting impression. Once spoken, they can't be unsaid. They linger, becoming a mental barrier that makes reconciliation even harder. Every time she thinks about you, those words will echo in her mind, "He hates me." But let's be real, you don't hate her, not really. What you hate is the situation. You hate how powerless you feel. You hate that she walked away, that she didn't choose you. And that's okay. Those feelings are valid. But expressing them in such a destructive way only pushes her further away. So what's the solution? High-value men channel their emotions into constructive action, not destructive words. Instead of saying "I hate you," say nothing. Focus on regaining control, on building the life you want, on becoming a man she can't ignore. Because here's the truth. Silence isn't just mature, it's magnetic. Imagine this. Instead of lashing out, you say nothing. You don't give her the satisfaction of knowing how deeply she's affected you. Over time, she starts to wonder, why hasn't he reacted? Did I misjudge him? Is he stronger than I thought? That shift in perception is far more powerful than any outburst could ever be. Here's a mantra to remember. Be tough with your actions, but kind with your words. That doesn't mean you have to reach out or try to be her friend. It means holding yourself to a higher standard. It means showing her that you're not the type of man who loses control, no matter how difficult the situation. In the end, saying "I hate you" might feel good in the moment, but it costs you far more than it's worth. So let the anger pass, let the emotions settle, and let your silence do the talking. That's how high-value men handle rejection, with grace, composure, and strength. Number 3, don't say "Don't ever call me again." You're angry, frustrated, and overwhelmed. In a heated moment, you might blurt out something like, "Don't ever call me again." It feels like a power move, doesn't it? Like you're setting a boundary and reclaiming control. But let's be honest, do you really mean it? Or is it just a desperate cry for it? Here's the truth. When you tell her, "Don't ever call me again," what you're really saying is, "I hope you call me, but I want to hurt you first." And trust me, she knows it. Women are incredibly perceptive when it comes to emotional signals. Instead of sounding strong and independent, you come across as reactive and insecure. That's the exact opposite of what you want. Now, let's put ourselves in her shoes. Imagine her receiving that message. Does she feel compelled to call you? Or does she feel justified in walking away? Most likely she's thinking, if he really didn't want me to call, he wouldn't need to say it. He'd just block me and move on. By making a dramatic declaration, you're not cutting ties. You're revealing your inability to handle the breakup with composure. Here's another harsh reality. When you say, "Don't ever call me again," you're giving her permission to move on. You're essentially saying, "You don't matter to me anymore," even if that's the furthest thing from the truth. And if she does take you at your word, what then? You're left in silence, wondering if she's gone forever, all because of words spoken in anger. High-value men don't need to make bold statements like this. They understand that real strength isn't about dramatic ultimatums, it's about quiet confidence. When you truly want to move forward, you don't announce it, you simply do it. Your actions, your silence will always speak louder than words. Let's flip the script. Instead of telling her, "Don't ever call me again," what happens if you say nothing? Suddenly, there's no dramatic fallout, no emotional scene for her to replay in her mind. Instead, she's left with questions. Why hasn't he reacted? Why didn't he lash out? That lack of reaction is what creates curiosity. It's what makes her wonder if she underestimated you. Here's the truth. Silence isn't just powerful, it's dignified. It shows her that you're in control, that you're not letting your emotions dictate your actions. And that's far more attractive than any outburst could ever be. So the next time you feel the urge to say something like, "Don't ever call me again," take a step back. Ask yourself, what do I really want to achieve? If the answer is respect, composure, or even a chance to rebuild the connection, then silence is your best move. Let her wonder. Let her feel your absence. Because in the end, that's what high-value men do. They let their actions, not their words, define their worth. Number 4, don't say, "Give me another chance." It feels like the right thing to do, doesn't it? Asking for another chance. You think it shows sincerity, humility, and a willingness to fix things. But let's be brutally honest. When you tell her, "Give me another chance," what are you really doing? You're begging. And begging doesn't inspire respect. It destroys it. Here's the reality. When a woman decides to end the relationship, it's rarely a spur-of-the-moment decision. She's likely thought about it for weeks, maybe even months, weighing the pros and cons before making her move. So when you say, "Give me another chance," you're not introducing new information or changing her mind. Instead, you're reinforcing her belief that breaking up was the right choice. Now let's consider her perspective. Imagine her hearing those words. Does she see a strong, confident man who's in control of his emotions? Or does she see someone desperate, someone clinging to a relationship she's already let go of? Chances are, she feels the latter. And that feeling doesn't make her want to come back. It makes her want to move further away. Here's another brutal truth. Asking for another chance often comes hand in hand with pleading. You start listing all the reasons why you deserve to be together, all the ways you'll change, and all the things you'll do differently. But instead of coming across as persuasive, you come across as needy. And neediness is a massive attraction killer. Let's flip the perspective. Think back to a time when someone begged you for something, a favor, a second chance, or even your time. Did their desperation make you want to help them, or did it make you uncomfortable? That's exactly how she feels when you plead for another chance. It doesn't make her reconsider the relationship. It confirms her decision to end it. So, what's the alternative? High-value men don't beg, they don't plead, and they certainly don't ask for second chances. Instead, they focus on creating a life so compelling, so attractive, that the other person regrets leaving. They understand that the best way to inspire someone to come back is not by asking, it's by showing them what they've lost. Imagine this. Instead of asking her to reconsider, you stay silent. You work on yourself. You focus on your goals, your passions, and your personal growth. Over time, she starts to see the changes, not because you told her, but because your actions speak louder than words. And when that happens, she's the one who begins to wonder, did I make a mistake? Here's the truth. Relationships aren't rebuilt through words. They're rebuilt through actions, through confidence, and through time. By asking for another chance, you're rushing the process. You're trying to force an outcome that can only happen naturally. And in doing so, you're pushing her further away. So the next time you feel the urge to say, "Give me another chance," take a step back. Remind yourself that high-value men don't chase, they attract. And the best way to attract her back is to focus on becoming the man she regrets losing. No words are needed, just action. Number 5. Don't say, "I love you." It's the classic romantic move, isn't it? You're hurt, you're desperate, and you think those 3 little words, "I love you," can fix everything. Hollywood makes it seem like love conquers all, but in real life, those words spoken at the wrong time can destroy your chances faster than you realize. Let's break it down. When you tell her "I love you" after a breakup, what are you really saying? You're exposing your vulnerability, yes, but not in a way that garners respect. Instead, you're laying all your emotions bare, hoping that she'll feel the same and come running back. But here's the truth. If she wanted to be with you, she wouldn't need to hear those words to decide. She would already be there. Now think about it from her perspective. Imagine her receiving that message. Does she feel touched, moved, ready to reconsider the breakup? No. She feels one of 2 things, pity or pressure. Neither of these emotions rekindles attraction. In fact, they do the opposite. She might think, "I know you love me, but that's not enough. Love doesn't change the reasons I left." Or worse, "You're only saying this because you're afraid of losing me." And here's the most painful part. If she doesn't feel the same way, your confession doesn't bring her closer. It pushes her further away. Think back to someone who once expressed feelings for you when you weren't interested. Did their declaration of love make you fall for them? Of course not. If anything, it made you uncomfortable. The same applies here. High-value men understand this fundamental truth. Love is not a bargaining chip. You can't force someone to feel it by declaring your own. Attraction isn't built on words, it's built on actions, mystery, and self-respect. When you say "I love you" post-breakup, you're removing all the mystery. You're telling her exactly where you stand, leaving her with nothing to wonder about. And in relationships, curiosity is king. So what's the alternative? Silence. Don't say "I love you." Instead, focus on becoming the man she would want to hear those words from. Let your actions show strength, stability, and growth. If she's ever going to feel love again, it won't be because you told her how you feel. It'll be because she starts to feel something for you again, organically. Here's a powerful truth to remember. She already knows you love her. She doesn't need to hear it again, especially not now. What she needs is space to miss you, to question her decision, to wonder if she made a mistake. And every time you tell her "I love you," you're robbing her of that space. So resist the urge. Keep those words to yourself. Not because they're untrue, but because timing is everything. And in this moment, silence speaks louder than any declaration of love ever could. Number 6. Don't say "I miss you." It's a phrase that feels honest, heartfelt, and human. I miss you. You're tempted to say it because you think it will show her how much she means to you. But let me be brutally clear. Telling her you miss her doesn't bring her closer. It drives her further away. And here's why. When you say "I miss you," what are you really communicating? You're showing your cards, revealing your emotional state, and placing her in a position of power. She now knows that you're still stuck in the past, that you're still holding on to the relationship while she's moved on. And instead of sparking curiosity or regret, it confirms her decision to leave. Let's break down her perspective. Imagine her hearing those words. Does she feel flattered? Maybe for a brief second, but then comes the real thought. Of course you miss me. I was a big part of your life. It's not surprising, it's not exciting, and it certainly doesn't make her reconsider her feelings. If anything, it feels predictable. Here's the harsh truth. When you tell her you miss her, you're not inspiring attraction, you're inspiring pity. And pity doesn't make her want to come back. It makes her want to keep her distance. Why? Because no one is drawn to someone who seems emotionally dependent. People are attracted to confidence, independence, and self-respect, the very traits you're undermining by admitting how much you miss her. Now let's flip the perspective. Imagine a scenario where you don't say anything. You don't tell her you miss her, and you don't make any attempt to reconnect. What happens? Suddenly she's left wondering, does he miss me? Has he moved on? Why hasn't he reached out? That uncertainty is powerful. It creates a vacuum that her mind naturally fills with questions, and those questions can reignite her interest. But staying silent isn't just about making her wonder, it's about preserving your self-respect. High-value men understand that longing for someone is normal, but sharing that longing doesn't serve them. Instead of seeking validation from her, they focus on validating themselves. They channel their emotions into growth, into building a life that doesn't depend on anyone else. Here's a truth that might sting. She already knows you miss her. She doesn't need you to say it. What she needs is to feel your absence, to experience the void you've left behind. And every time you reach out, every time you remind her that you're still waiting, you're robbing her of that experience. So, what's the alternative? Hold your ground. Resist the urge to say I miss you. Instead, use that energy to focus on yourself. Let your actions show her that you're not just surviving, you're thriving. Because when she sees you moving forward, building a life that's strong and fulfilling, she'll start to question her decision. And that's when the dynamic shifts. Here's the bottom line. Telling her you miss her doesn't make her miss you. It makes her certain that you're still stuck. So, stay silent. Let her wonder, let her feel the weight of your absence. That's how high-value men turn the tables, by saying less and showing more. Number 7. Don't say, I'm so depressed. In the aftermath of a breakup, it's natural to feel crushed. The pain, the loneliness, and the overwhelming sense of loss can leave you in a dark place. But let me be clear, telling her I'm so depressed is one of the worst things you can do. While it might feel like an honest expression of your emotions, it comes across as weak, unattractive, and even manipulative. Here's the reality. When you tell her you're depressed, you're putting the burden of your emotional well-being on her. Whether you mean to or not, you're saying, I can't handle this on my own. I need you to fix it. And that's not only unfair to her, but it also undermines the image of strength and stability you need to project as a high-value man. Now, let's step into her shoes. Imagine her receiving that message or hearing those words. What does she feel? Sympathy, perhaps, but not attraction. In her mind, she's thinking, I can't be responsible for his happiness. Instead of making her reconsider the breakup, it reinforces her decision to leave. Why? Because no one wants to feel trapped in a relationship where they're expected to carry the other person's emotional weight. Here's another harsh truth. Your depression isn't her responsibility. It's yours. And while there's nothing wrong with seeking support from friends, family, or even a therapist, making your ex the focus of your pain only pushes her further away. It doesn't inspire her to come back. It makes her want to stay as far away as possible. Let's flip the perspective. Imagine staying silent instead of confessing your sadness. You don't tell her how much you're struggling, and you don't reach out in a moment of weakness. What happens? She starts to wonder, how is he handling this? Is he doing okay? Did I underestimate his strength? That curiosity creates a powerful dynamic shift. Suddenly, you're not the one chasing, she is. High-value men understand this. They know that their emotions are valid, but they don't use them as a tool to gain sympathy or attention. Instead, they channel their feelings into self-improvement. They focus on rebuilding their confidence, pursuing their goals, and creating a life that doesn't depend on anyone else for happiness. Here's a truth to live by. Your sadness doesn't make her want you back. It makes her feel sorry for you, and pity is the death of attraction. If you want her to see you as the strong, confident man she once admired, you need to show her, not through words, but through actions. So the next time you feel the urge to tell her how depressed you are, stop. Take a deep breath. Reach out to a trusted friend, a family member, or a professional who can support you. But don't put that burden on her. Show her, through your actions, that you're handling this with grace and resilience. Because that's what high-value men do. They turn pain into power. Here's the bottom line. Telling her you're depressed doesn't make her come back. It makes her want to stay away. So, keep your struggles private. Let her wonder how you're doing. And most importantly, focus on yourself. Because when you rise above the pain, you don't just heal, you thrive. Number 8. Don't say, can we just meet and talk? When you're feeling the weight of a breakup, it's natural to want closure. You think to yourself, if we could just talk, I could explain everything. I could fix this. And so you send the message, can we just meet and talk? But let me be brutally honest, this is a trap. Not for her, but for you. Here's the truth. Asking to meet and talk doesn't create clarity, it creates pressure. For her, it's not an opportunity to reconnect, it's an emotional minefield. She knows exactly what you're trying to do. Change her mind. And that's where the problem lies. Because relationships don't work like that. You can't talk someone into loving you again. Let's dive into her mindset. When she hears those words, does she feel hopeful, moved, reconsidering her decision? No. She feels cornered. She thinks he's gonna try and convince me to come back. He's gonna put all his emotions on the table, and I'll have to deal with it. Instead of opening a door, you're building a wall, one made of discomfort and obligation. And here's the kicker. Even if she agrees to meet, what's your plan? Are you gonna pour your heart out? Apologize? Promise to change? All of these things come across as desperate. They don't inspire attraction, they kill it. High-value men know this. They understand that attraction isn't built through persuasion. It's built through mystery, confidence, and space. Now let's flip the script. Imagine a scenario where you don't ask to meet and talk. Instead, you remain silent. You focus on yourself. You let her sit with her decision. What happens? She starts to wonder. Why hasn't he reached out? Why isn't he trying to talk to me? That curiosity is powerful. It plants a seed of doubt. It makes her question whether she underestimated you. Here's the bottom line. Asking to meet and talk is about satisfying your own emotions, not hers. It's about easing your discomfort, not building her attraction. And every time you prioritize your needs over hers, you're pushing her further away. High-value men understand this. They know that silence is often the most strategic move. So what's the alternative? Resist the urge to send that message. Instead, focus on building a life that speaks for itself. Let her see your growth, your strength, and your resilience, not through a conversation, but through your actions. Because when she sees that you're thriving without her, that's when the dynamic begins to shift. Here's a truth to remember. The strongest message you can send is no message at all. By staying silent, you're showing her that you're not dependent on her for closure, validation, or happiness. And that, gentlemen, is the mark of a high-value man. So the next time you feel tempted to say, can we just meet and talk? Take a step back. Ask yourself, what's my real goal? If it's to rebuild attraction, then words won't get you there. Actions will. Let her wonder, let her miss you, and most importantly, let her come to you when she's ready. That's how high-value men handle breakups, with grace, patience, and quiet strength. Number 9. Don't say happy birthday. It seems harmless, doesn't it? Wishing your ex a happy birthday feels like the polite thing to do. You tell yourself it's just a kind gesture, nothing more. But deep down you know the truth. It's not just a birthday wish. It's a desperate attempt to stay connected. And that's where the problem lies. Think about it. When you send that message, what are you really saying? You're saying, I'm still here. I haven't moved on. I'm thinking about you. Even if you dress it up as politeness, she sees right through it. And let me be brutally honest, she's not flattered. She's not touched. She's validated. I was right to leave him, she might think, her confidence in the breakup growing stronger with every word you type. Now, let's dig into her psychology for a moment. Imagine her phone buzzes and she sees your name. Does she feel a pang of regret? A spark of curiosity? No. Instead, she likely feels a mix of pity and control. He still can't let go, she might think. And as much as that hurts to hear, it's the truth. Your simple happy birthday doesn't inspire her to rethink the breakup. It confirms her decision. Here's the harsh reality. High-value men don't break silence for trivial reasons. They understand that every word carries weight, especially after a breakup. By reaching out, you're not just breaking no contact. You're handing her the emotional power. You're telling her, I'm still orbiting your world. And trust me, that's the last thing you want her to believe. Now let's flip the script. Imagine what happens when you don't send that message. Suddenly, there's a void. She notices the silence. Her mind starts to wander. Why didn't he wish me a happy birthday? Has he moved on? Does he even care anymore? That curiosity, it's your greatest asset. It's what high-value men leverage to regain control. But here's the catch. Staying silent isn't easy. It takes discipline. It takes strength, and it takes the ability to resist the urge to do something. Because doing nothing, saying nothing, is the ultimate power move. So the next time you're tempted to text happy birthday, ask yourself this: who benefits from this message? If the answer isn't you, stay silent. Let her wonder. Let her feel your absence. Because when she does, that's when the real shift begins. Number 10. Don't say, let's hang out as friends. This one feels harmless, even strategic, doesn't it? You think to yourself, if I can just get her to hang out as friends, I can ease my way back into her life. I'll show her I've changed, and maybe she'll want me again. But here's the problem. Suggesting friendship isn't a stepping stone, it's a dead end. Let me explain. When you say, let's hang out as friends, what you're really doing is masking your true intentions. You're not asking for friendship, you're asking for an opportunity to win her back. And trust me, she knows it. Women are incredibly perceptive when it comes to hidden motives. Instead of seeing your offer as a sign of maturity, she sees it as a lack of authenticity. Now, let's look at this from her perspective. Imagine her hearing those words. Does she feel intrigued, flattered, or does she feel a subtle sense of control? Most likely, she's thinking, he doesn't really want to be friends. He's just trying to stay close because he can't let go. And that thought doesn't inspire attraction. It inspires pity, or worse, discomfort. Here's the harsh truth. When you suggest friendship, you're placing yourself in the friend zone voluntarily. You're telling her, I'm okay with whatever crumbs of attention you're willing to give me. And once you're in that position, it's nearly impossible to climb back out. Why? Because she no longer sees you as a romantic option. She sees you as someone who's willing to settle for less. High-value men don't settle. They don't offer friendship as a way to stay connected. They understand that maintaining distance is crucial to rebuilding attraction. By staying silent, they preserve their dignity and create the space needed for curiosity to grow. Now, let's consider the alternative. Imagine not asking to hang out as friends. Instead, you remain silent. You focus on yourself, on building a life that's fulfilling and exciting. What happens? She starts to notice your absence. She begins to wonder, why hasn't he reached out? Has he moved on? Is he happier without me? That sense of curiosity is far more powerful than any attempt at friendship could ever be. Here's another reality to consider. If she truly wants to be friends, she'll suggest it herself. And even then, you have to ask yourself, is this really what I want? Because true friendship requires emotional detachment, and if you're still hoping for something more, you're not being honest with her or with yourself. So what's the solution? Resist the urge to suggest friendship. Instead, focus on becoming the man she regrets losing. Let your silence speak louder than any words ever could. Show her, through your actions, that you're not willing to settle for less than what you deserve. Because when she sees that strength, that independence, that self-respect, she'll start to see you in a different light. Here's the bottom line. Suggesting friendship doesn't bring her closer. It pushes her further away. So let go of the idea of being her friend. Let her wonder. Let her feel the weight of your absence. And most importantly, let her come to you, if and when she's ready. That's how high-value men handle breakups, with confidence, clarity, and quiet strength. Number 11. Don't overcompensate by pretending you're better off. After a breakup, it's tempting to show the world and your ex that you're thriving. You might flood your social media with pictures of exciting outings, new hobbies, or even hints of new romantic interests. On the surface, it seems like the perfect way to show her you've moved on. But let's dig deeper. Is it genuine, or are you just pretending to be better off? And if it's the latter, what message does that really send? Here's the truth. Overcompensating with a showy display of happiness doesn't make you look strong, it makes you look desperate. To her, it's painfully obvious that you're trying too hard to prove something. Instead of seeing a man who's confidently moved forward, she sees someone who's putting on an act, hoping to get her attention. And trust me, that doesn't inspire regret. It inspires doubt. Now let's step into her perspective. Imagine her scrolling through social media and seeing your posts. Does she think, wow, he's doing great? Maybe I should reach out? No, she's more likely to think, he's trying way too hard. If he's really happy, why does he need to broadcast it? Your overcompensation becomes a signal, not of strength, but of insecurity. And here's another harsh reality. When you pretend to be better off, You're not just fooling her, you're fooling yourself. Instead of addressing the pain of the breakup and focusing on real growth, you're masking it with superficial distractions. High-value men don't play that game. They understand that true healing doesn't come from seeking validation. It comes from building a fulfilling life, with or without her. So, what's the alternative? Instead of overcompensating, embrace genuine progress. Focus on improving yourself, not for her, but for you. Pursue passions that truly excite you. Spend time with people who uplift you, and most importantly, stay off her radar. Let her discover your growth naturally, not through forced displays. Now imagine the impact of this approach. Instead of seeing a curated version of your life, she starts hearing about your success from mutual friends. She notices your absence online and wonders, what's he been up to? Is he happier without me? That sense of curiosity is far more powerful than any staged photo or cryptic post. Here's the bottom line. High-value men don't need to prove anything. They let their actions speak for themselves. By focusing on genuine growth and staying authentic, you not only rebuild your confidence, you position yourself as the man she regrets leaving. So the next time you're tempted to post that picture or drop a hint, ask yourself, am I doing this for me or for her? If it's the latter, step back and refocus. True strength doesn't need an audience, it speaks for itself. Number 12. Don't let mutual friends become your spokesperson. After a breakup, it's common to feel the urge to stay connected with your ex in any way possible. If direct communication feels off limits, you might turn to mutual friends. You think, if they could just tell her how much I care, how much I've changed, maybe she'll reconsider. But here's the harsh truth. Using mutual friends as your messengers isn't just ineffective, it's damaging. Let's be honest about what this really looks like. When you rely on mutual friends to carry your feelings to her, you're outsourcing your emotions. It sends a clear message. I'm too afraid to confront her directly, so I'll involve someone else. And to your ex, this doesn't come across as thoughtful or strategic. It comes across as weak. Instead of making her miss you, it reinforces the idea that you're still stuck, unable to let go. Now consider her perspective. Imagine her having a casual conversation with a mutual friend, only to hear something like, "He's been asking about you. He says he misses you and wants to make things right." What does she feel? Is she touched? Intrigued? Not likely. She's more likely to feel cornered or even annoyed. Why? Because it places her in an awkward position, forcing her to address feelings she might not be ready to confront. And let's not forget the impact this has on the friend. By involving them in your emotions, you're putting them in an uncomfortable position. They're now stuck in the middle, balancing loyalty to you and to her. High-value men don't burden others with their personal struggles. They handle them directly and independently. So what's the alternative? Instead of involving mutual friends, focus on maintaining a clean break. Let those friendships exist without turning them into a bridge back to your ex. When you respect those boundaries, you demonstrate emotional maturity and self-control, traits that are infinitely more attractive than desperation. Now, let's imagine the power of this approach. Your mutual friends interact with her as usual, but they don't bring up your name. She starts to wonder, why hasn't he said anything? Is he really moving on? That sense of absence speaks volumes. It creates a vacuum where curiosity can grow, and that's where attraction begins to rebuild. Here's the bottom line. Using mutual friends to communicate your feelings doesn't show strength, it shows avoidance. High-value men understand that their actions, not their words, or someone else's, define their worth. By staying silent and respecting the boundaries of those friendships, you maintain your dignity and create the space needed for her to miss you. So, resist the urge to use mutual friends as a lifeline. Let them remain neutral, uninvolved, and untouched by the dynamics of your breakup. Focus on yourself, on rebuilding your confidence and independence. Because when you rise above the need for indirect communication, you don't just regain control. You set the stage for her to wonder what she's lost. Conclusion. Breakups are never easy, and navigating the emotional minefield that follows can feel overwhelming. But here's the truth. How you handle yourself in the aftermath defines everything. As we've uncovered today, there are 12 critical mistakes you must avoid if you want to regain control, rebuild your self-respect, and position yourself as a high-value man. Let's take a step back and reflect. Why are these 12 phrases so damaging? Because they all come from the same place: emotional desperation. Whether it's saying, "I miss you," or "give me another chance," these words broadcast one thing loud and clear: I'm not in control of my emotions. And the reality is, attraction isn't built on neediness. It's built on confidence, independence, and strength. But here's the good news. Every mistake we've discussed today is entirely avoidable. By choosing silence over desperation, by focusing on your growth rather than her validation, you're not just avoiding mistakes, you're reclaiming your power. High-value men understand that silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's the space where curiosity grows, where doubt creeps in, and where attraction begins to rebuild. Now, let me leave you with a final thought. The road to becoming a high-value man isn't just about what you avoid. It's about what you embrace. It's about channeling your energy into self-improvement, building a life so fulfilling that she can't help but notice. But here's the twist. By the time she does, you may no longer want her back. And that's the ultimate power move, when you realize that your worth was never tied to her approval in the first place. So, what's next? Take what you've learned here and put it into action. Resist the urge to say those damaging words. Embrace the silence. Focus on your growth, and let her feel the absence of the man she once knew, because that absence is what will make her question everything. And remember, this isn't just about getting her back. It's about becoming the man you were always meant to be. A man who doesn't chase, who doesn't beg, and who doesn't settle. A man who attracts naturally through confidence, composure, and quiet strength. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're already ahead of most men who let their emotions dictate their actions. But the journey doesn't end here. There's more to learn, more to grow, and more to discover about the art of relationships and self-mastery. So stay focused, stay disciplined, and stay true to the high-value man you're becoming. Sound fair enough? Let's make it happen.